Hello, Weathersfield, Connecticut, United States, New York, and Connecticut. This is a map exactly to scale, more or less. This is where George Washington had to come in this town right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, right around the corner of, right around the corner from. Where is that? Oh yeah, here's this. This street goes this way too. These are people each year they've been, and since I was a kid, involved with all kinds of more and more staggering. So this is a map where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War and stay at the Webb House. That says Webb House, and now they changed the name to the Samuel the Samuel Webb Samuel Stevens or something like that. I don't know what they. I forgot now. Those, but each year since before the Trade Center attack, these people in this town interstates are involved with then what was World Trade Center attack. And this is tied all the topics in the news, like the Paul Manafort Drive. This Anthony Yagman, he was on my Facebook again today. He's involved with doctors that forge names, switch names, fake conversations with me. They're preventing people con means to defend ourselves since I was a kid. They have my new and past neighbors involved more further with a principal sex offenders campus. Worse than him then. And they had that then and now actually recorded. They're just lying about what's recorded because the police are involved. The prosecutors, their kids. They use the media to spread lies with them. There's recorded. The only time I ever raised my voice is tied to this. Since before the Trade Center attack, the same ones involved with this when I was a kid, with private school people, involved with identity racketeering, thefts, or database racketeering, verbal racketeering, forging names, switching names. Then you can't get a response because they're sequence racketeering too. They're coaching people in roles with that. It's all right, someone has an opinion, well, someone makes a difference. Don't make it worse. Don't get involved in other people's business, whether they're trying to counter things associated with bonded abuses of children, not just sexual, medical, judicial, prosecutors, the people that work for them courts, dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court I never had a conversation with. Now they are recorded, involved with that whole bunch of natures of racketeering intercities with databases, falsified police reports, human trafficking, rolls with that with officers that weren't even present. Then they kept making some mistakes. They have all kinds of racketeering methods already recorded, forging names, switching names. Our branches of government know they are sicker than witch trials. They are the same way the gangs know they have no choice. That's what they were only shown. That's what is repeated all the time. But what's left out is how they keep each identity the ground location, like campuses, like sciences themselves, victim predators, but victims as coached to it. We have to have mandated law. We have to be able to counter what nations individually grouped together are locked and capable of speaking about because the quality of fact-checking nature is shared in hundreds of nations at once. Too many time and positions. Someone starts admitting that using as value all the ways that we are discernibly not capable of affording free speech or breaking down fake branches. Fall, find the seed, build wall. While the lifts and building one identity of forever is distinctly, sequentially, first onto its own inherent. Simultaneously, though, it is more and more that with a value of a bond to the active and the progressive. Simultaneously is distinctly we're onto the progressive and the active. I mean, the progressive, it bonds the inherent and the active more and more. Simultaneously, we're distinct onto its active. This temporary slash lasting individual value progressions grouped and together. Where it is onto this active, the distinctly, this forms a bond simultaneously as more and more value too between the inherent and the progressive that does not juxtapose with the active but one way. And part of the way we have to give to it from its own nature already here, where it's making more of itself as a quality of diffusion unceasingly. The ancients and the semi-ancients, before modern religions, they demonstrably criminally re-engineered the proper nature of intonation, original revelations, and understanding about languages. That and how each of the sounds of the English language have an identity of relationship to themselves, and have the value of that distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, not just bonded, but as a value progression. More and more, forever nature being made through more and more identities of infinity nature, as a forever nature, as temporary positive, as temporary lasting positive or negative. As while, in other words, criminal ceaseless nature is proof that there's a form of positive, some people will claim is positive, that is not positive. But that is not as easy to see as possible. And you can't sue where the branches of government are using crime methods recorded through time and forging names, switching names, for example, falsifying police reports and preventing that from being reported per their roles with wire crimes and mail crime methods that are used to keep originally still criminally foreign influenced agencies, courts, police forms from off their locations on and off them. It's all right if they have opinions. It's all right if they want to say that we have opinions or theories. That's why they need to free speech, stop forging names, switching names, attaching us to fake conversations, fake recorded things. It's way worse than that. These are people with uses of on and off Fox, Connecticut News. These people know where you're gonna travel. These are people that have each age of fact treatment nature involved with what used them originally and still promote effectively to keep our founders. Fact treatment nature, slavery, torture of themselves. Worse than demonstrated. Tell them to suck it up. So we have means right now. The only thing that can mess it up is that and how. We have the Forsaken World today. They can't ignore that when they get, that's all the talking positions are in conjunction with the people with the locations on off campus of each age with this simple thing they're forcing with the sequence shifts because they already did it. All that was left manifest with that needs to keep her each age of correlation nature. They need to keep them even self-valuing it through the sequence shifts, through the timing positions. Everyone becomes a knave because everyone wants to go after positive because rightfully. But they want to do it through what they say is the system. But that's not when they fight free speech then. No, they won't do it because out here they need to keep everyone coached to hide their life progressions. Because all the natures of courts are already criminally foreign influence predators, recorded crime methods, physically delusions wrought, sequence racketeering premise treatment natures. All the executive branch are. Every modern nation is in this semi-ancient trap as this. Sickly, distinctly hurt to keep them, everyone sickly, non-distinctly how simultaneously exploited No one capable of speaking about it, far short of the quality of fact-cheating nature needing to be speaking in relationship to these critical issues. Miss Pelosi is a great woman. Everyone's a great person, but she's child abused. And for example, only way it could be claimed other is contrast to overtly forsaken, which is what we have. Rather than monetize the standing education of what caused that. Why should we be led by sensibilities of jobs that are in collusion? Well, not just because of that. With the kid, this Central Connecticut, see on and off Palm Man and Fort Drive. These are courts that are in collusion through since before they were born. Russia was over here. We're mixed over there. Modern nations can't help but have our identities forced to be juxtaposed, forced to be parted. We are individual grouped species. This is for a value system. No, the rest of nature has no criminal foreign influence, especially criminally legalized ones. You keep. They say they kept all formal positions, titles, jobs needed to hide the same life progressions in conjunction with each age of fact-cheating nature's means by what is simultaneously delicate and strong at the same time, where identities of value translate and have this value slash value relationship where subjects and where female nature are conjunction with that identity of volume that is self-generated, where and as and how the sexes are manifest. So, in other words, there's an Anthony Yagman involved with a Dr. Brendan Leahy and people with a whole bunch of people tied to a Kevin Dillon and a Sean Dillon and Anna Dillon with foreign and domestic military and with people on and off two-route highway through time involved with sequence shifts with the Justice Department racketeering all natures of child abuses, even sexual with the principal sex offenders campus. That their past roles with sequence shifts with other natures of racketeering, acting things like they were sequence. That's one of the tactics they use. They have people act anger, pretend they had a conversation before that, anything to do with anything before that, and they lie about the reaction of it. These are behavior crimes that are also crimes against positive consciously because of, but through being having been used remote originally, still this is an edifice of sophistication that is contained. Now one has trained. That's why the Samuel Dix house, since before cars, they forced these homes and the zoning laws worse than semi-unsafe. They forced database relationships since before computers roles with this method that from on and off locations, on and off database relationships, on and off the sciences especially, each age of campuses especially. This is an ancient republic campus system, concentrated value of campuses, of identity of the ground, relationship to our quality of fact, treatment nature as a slash each slash the nature of volume slash its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that, which is going to reveal evolution's fruits and gifts using ground. I'll gather around. It's going to keep demonstrating negative value nature progressions, action natures, people pretending to be against what they're for, where it counts, like environmental change. These are only knaves fighting to defend premises treatments that were already invested, having been exploited sickly to hurt each age of each location, area, and state. This is where and how the human fact cheapening nature was a commodity used by this worse than racketeering method, worse than organized crime method, worse than war crimes method, worse than that, but still simple, just simple racketeering method using self-defended reactions to this, worse than obfuscating the identity the sciences share that English was revealed to teach about. This bonding each cell of our body in demonstration of its own, not just of our own complete identity, as a quality of diffusion unceasingly and increasingly until we're gone. We are what it needs. Completely, and that's all it needs. When we're not complete, to admit that. This is a tactically denatured relationship to ground, identity of value progression, relationship to what we are forced to conceive as an identity of the ground relationship, like with zoning laws. On top of that, and the value between that is increasing too. This is how it works. Ground science. It's native pure. So scientific process actual, and with no criminal foreign influences, no physical delusions. It reveals that now, not just Native Americans, but especially Native Americans sequentially too, you can't. So they put the debatable with people with passions and emotions in relationship to each value treatment to keep what solves all these, what reveals the physical delusions. When people's see, they're calling people out on physical delusions with sequence racketeering, uses of other people's information that is not real. That's why they need to have vetting. But see, that's why if the vetting's involved with that. In other words, that's why you have to have a license to be a journalist. But that's a fact cheating nature racketeering when the journalists are still fact cheating. They're just making things up with just because there are judges and police inclusion with them and their personal connections, their family members, not by accident. This keeps all sense and sensibilities, use Jane Austen's phrase, as criminal and ceaseless natures, as tools, as life progressions, as each individual grouped and altogether relationship to databases. Everywhere they are standing relationships to us, not by accident, since before computers. Not by accident that valued computers to jump behind. Where they're gonna have to drive to their locations. They can be walled in. That's an identity of the ground relationship that is only capable of being like every other one. So this is exploited from off those locations already. And then it makes them roll. What are they gonna do? See, you guys aren't letting people counter where and how we have recorded the directors of our agencies in collusion, and they have wordings of law that it's legal, but they have that but they have readings of it that were sequence racketeering the whole time. Then they were hiding their life progressions by their roles with perjury racketeering, pretending to be against it already. They wasted people's lives already. So everyone's standing, by the time they're standing in charge of anything, this is what forgiveness is for. This is like that movie. There's a movie to watch if you want to know about what um, Lord of the Flies. I never read the book. His book's probably better. But what's better is just to know we have all names. We don't have free speech. And now the people that are pretending we have free speech and to be for it, they're conspiracy theory. They're involved with racketeering uses of conspiracy theorists, where they have to prevent anyone from connecting what is simultaneously the value to the invisible but still discernible of the value of the order, the finite, the smallest thing. Sequence true before that. What is active at the same time, a third value. Simultaneous. So we're not being allowed to speak about what are these five simultaneous values. There's progressions to our simultaneous value. And there is another identity of sequence nature there. For example, death. That is value here now to our decisions. Only the extent of it is debatable. We have it being debated offensively, criminally. By scientists, criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought. As victims. As our nature where everyone is good. Needing to hide it and having hid it and having self-value how everyone else hid it. As logic racketeering predators. And styles manifest in relationship to nature that defends that demonstrates it, and that can, as logic with no criminal foreign influences, with no physical delusions, and with sequence true. So we don't have even freedom of religion. We don't have freedom of speech. We have all kinds of natures of medical racketeering that already were, originally still already were a propaganda machine that has line progressions from each spot that's sacred to the voice. So we have each age a factory nature in a trap. Worse than forsaken and worse than inherently actively and progressively and sequentially having been and being exploited. Each position of difference, a boy, a girl, each identity of value, they're keeping debatable what is not, to keep what is differential and sequential right there from being discerned, to keep how they have women into bridge involved with the sick men here with the kids. Forgiveness is for them. They have all kinds of fact shootings. They have readings of law that are originally instilled. They can't defend that and follow the law with paper. So they have prevented me paper since I was a kid. The more they have more influence interactions each year with people. Now, how would you know that? Because I know what I know. No, it's recorded. It's for the action recorded. We have confessions too. This is the nature of confessions because the nature doesn't want to be what everyone says they want it to be because that's all they can fathom. Because this is where they're child abused, whereas now it counts. That's why there's a pathology of homes, like even worse than the same old Dick's house. There's people before cars at Central Connecticut State University. I learned, even if it's this made up, there are proofs. It's worse than this. Anyway, that if anyone was found out to be speaking about making homes outside the little pathology of homes that went across the world, I was already here, but since before our founders were born. And this is with slavery that George Washington had to leave. He had to come right here, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Even with the French general's help, he had to come to the Samuel Dix house. Right around the corner from that corner is also involved with Connecticut News. Please help. Please respond. WFSB will help. They attach me to all kinds of sequence shifts, fake locations, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to other people, and their roles with evidence racketeering in cases and with depositions and with sequence and pretending not to realize that before they did that with the people from the Washington World Trade Center attack context involved with them interstate, directly and indirectly, for them. They'll tell you, oh, I don't know them, but then in other contexts, they're pretending other. That's also how we have various natures of courts and their family members involved with this Joshua Julian and then all the people tied to them. All people tied to the extended family members of a house in my area, like with a Phil Colello. Also recorded and confessed involved with a whole bunch of people of New Britain Superior Court and a Bob Chase involved with them with identity thefts and other relatives of his too, like a Scalora family. Also as one of the ones involved with the World Trade Center attack context. And as the ones involved with the database racketeering, further with the principal sex offenders campus, and with medical racketeering with that, and how women interbranch are involved with this. Dozens of them through since I was a kid. These are people just stealing people's identities more and more with fake positive. Clear as day, with how, where, and how. They're keeping they're keeping naive reactions of everyone regarding culture as our only leaders of it. It's because of this, because no one's going to allowing counter to what is intercampuses, because everyone's going for jobs, titles, and as an identity of negative value, nature, progression. These are all identity of the ground. They're all in collusion. How many times I asked you to free speech? Now this guy's still active with the people. There's a Officer Jerry Miller. There's a Jerry Kerr. There are a whole bunch of people I don't know Fox Connect, with WFSB involved with them with crimes with the phones and with the courts with medical and sexual offenders of kids and then preventing counters to it. Now these are also people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the O'Brien family and others on my street also with the Phil Collo and his cousins and his roles with the Scaloras with racketeering roles. Also recorded with people that I went to school with. The Wethersfield Police Chief's daughter. I never had a class with her. Never was around her. Her husband. He's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the prosecutors and with judges involved with racketeering, a whole bunch of natures with a John Maiano. Now this is and with these are with people with the policing of stores. These are people with DACA program. We're shared into on off campuses with other nations. We shared relationships to all that, maintain, manifest in relationship to trade agreements, and you can't defend us at the same time. You can't afford, understood what slavery was caused by, which is actually recorded. But then people can't defend their takes on the founders because they brought history to some. It's not about what battle was in the Civil War. It's not just about everyone divine conqueror and all the people that died. It's about what George Washington, even with the French general's help, had to come to Hartford, Connecticut, between New York and Boston, and leave slavery in the North. Still, it's about that. It's about that what made him able to make that union strong enough to win the last battle of the Revolutionary War. strong enough to force England to have an excuse. Because there too, they were forced to share their shared roles with other nations. How do you think England was already extended, already broad? English was revealed by ancients. Think little England just went out and did that to everyone. It was through the identity of everything conformed over to blaming other things other than self by all kinds of motivations really missed by this archetypal criminal enterprise, by the devil. It is more probable than spirit. Somebody said, so we'll come to this. So here's where they had to meet, right before the last battle of the Revolution. I remember he had to leave slavery overt with color. It is evidence recorded that and how that not being juxtaposed with the reason of our experts with knowing the most knowledge about American history. That's evidence. If you ask such natures of evidence to be used, that's still debated offensively, dishonestly, and with delusions. Per this, this is not a joke. Both parties are child abused. Each branch of government is child abuse predators. Every modern nation. The only way to do it is to admit this trinity, tactically denatured. The identity of the grounds, identity in relationship to the value progression itself. That scientific value, that is all identity of value progression individually grouped together. The identity of modern nations, foundations, and the identity between that. From that, and with and as that, as value, it is a value/value nature relationship to one quality of fact-achieving nature. As its own trinity, with its own two identities of sequence nature further to those three identities of sequence nature. Attached to it as all things. This is why the halo has the A and the W on both sides of it. The person whose head is between the halo, as Jesus Christ is head on Yale's website, is between AW. Alpha A on the right side, on the left side of the alphabet, and W on the right on the right side. And W, X, Y, Z are bonded the same way A, B, C are bonded. X, Y, Z, extinction. Y, zenith. Extinction, extinction. Those are the three words that those words spawn sentences, but those are the three words that those things for. X stings for extinction. The only X is the only word of the English language that the spelling of its word you have to add a letter to it, because that's the nature of extinction. That's also the quality of diffusion, as the value that W is where it is standing, right before extinction. W, the walls of our body. But this is also body of value discernment, metaphysical, and as identity. It has identity's complete course. I'll drop the force. Bach sings, the surges do all things alone. This is the identity of the five. These are five bonded values, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. We still have the right to, and the free speech, to use the science of what's going to be positive to them simultaneously. And that's evolution science. So, you've come out to see.